Good morning. This is Debbie with the Food Prepping Channel. And today I'm fixing a huge pot of chili beans. Now, I'm fixing this to freeze, the leftovers, but I also want you to know that you can can this. So, I'm just going to show you, you can can these in the pint jars, or you can can them in the quart jars. You do have to have a pressure canner to can this. It can't be a water bath. It's got to be a pressure canner. And, which I have one, but it's out of my building, and I just don't feel like having anybody go out there to get it. So I'm just going to freeze my leftovers, which I'm sure there's probably not going to be very many leftovers, but I do want to tell you and show you that this is for a large, this would be a large pot of chili beans. The first thing I'm going to put in here is I have 3 pounds of ground beef chuck, and that's just a roll that I got at Walmart. And it just keeps on going up every day. This used to be like $8. Now I think it's $13. And the 5-pound roll used to be $11, and now it's $17. Alright, so I've got this. I'm just going to brown this. It's 3 pounds of ground chuck. I've got it on my New Wave induction cooktop on medium, which is 275. I thought I had green peppers in there, but I didn't. But I do have yellow and orange because I love the yellow and orange peppers. I have got to the stage where I really don't like red peppers so much, but I do like the yellow and the orange, and the green, of course, is what I use mainly, but I used them the other day in my salad and I didn't have any left. So I've got 1 yellow pepper that I'm going to put in here with this, and I've got 1 orange pepper that I'm going to put in here. Alright. And then on my cutting board I have 1 large onion, 1 small onion. And I'm going to put that in the pot with the ground chuck as well. Now, and I'm just going to let this cook. When this comes up to, when it starts boiling, I'm going to cut this down and get it down on low, and I'm just going to let this cook slow because it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm really, well, 12:30 really, and I'm really not in any big hurry for this because this will be for dinner. So I'm just making this, and I'm going to let it simmer all afternoon and get those. I've got a big pot that I won't be using on here because it's not the right type, but I'm just cooking the ground chuck and the onions and the peppers in this, and then I'll move it to a big soup pot, my big soup pot, when I get everything in here done. But like I said, this has got the 3 pounds of ground chuck, 1 orange bell pepper, 1 yellow bell pepper, and then 1 large onion and 1 small onion. And I'm just going to let this cook, and then when it gets to simmer, when it gets up to boiling and cooking, I'm going to cut it down and let it cook really slow, and I'll bring you back when I get ready to put anything else in there. Okay, I'm back. I've got my ground chuck and my onions and my peppers. They're still simmering over there on my New Wave, and this is my big soup pot, but it's going to be my chili bean pot today. And this is all the cans. I know you can't see them all, but I've got a ton of cans here. It's going to fill up my trash can. But I'm going to tell you everything that I'm putting in here. And then when I get all this stuff off of here, I'm going to stop the camera, and I've got to get some spices together and get my ground chuck drained and stuff like that. But this is what I'm going to put in first. And of course I will, after I get all these emptied, these like the tomato cans or whatever, I'll rinse them out with water. But I've got one 28-ounce can of Great Value crushed tomatoes, and that's going in here in this. I'll try to get as much out as I can with the spoon. Alright, I've got a can of Hunt's fire roasted diced tomatoes. They're going in here. I have a can of Hunt's no salt added tomato sauce. That's going in here. And I have a can of Hunt's tomato paste, basil, garlic, and oregano. And that's going in here. And then I have a can of, this is Kroger diced tomatoes with chili seasoning. It's going in here too. Just the whole can is going in here. And like I said, I'll be rinsing out all of these tomato cans with water. Alright, now, the next thing that I'm going to do, and these are all the beans that I'm putting in here. And I'm using canned beans because I really don't like the gas that you can get from cooking pinto beans and kidney beans and all from scratch. So I'm using canned. And I'm using 1 can of Goya small red beans. And these are just, they're really like pinto beans. But I've got these and I'm going to use them. Putting these in here. Alright, and then I have 3 cans of Lux pinto beans. And they're my favorite pinto beans, is Lux. You can heat up some Lux beans and some cornbread. And, my grandmother called it mush, but boy, it was good. Put the pinto beans and the soup part from the beans on the cornbread and eat it like that. Alright, so it's 3 cans of Lux pinto beans. Alright, and then I have just 1 can of Great Value pinto beans. And like I said, I'm not draining these or anything like that. I'm using the juices from them. Alright, I've got 1 can of light red kidney beans. And they're going in here. And then I have 2 cans of dark red kidney beans. And they're going in here. Alright, so that's all the beans. But I've got more spices. And I mean, I've got spices that I've got to put in here. And I've got to get these cans rinsed out and with the tomatoes in them. And put those back in here. And it'll, I'm just going to put some water in each of them. And rinse them out and get that extra tomato out of here. So none of it gets wasted. And I'll bring you back in just in a minute. Okay, I'm back. And I've got everything in my big soup pot now except the ground beef and all my spices. And so you're going to have to watch and see. This is, I'm putting in all the ground beef and the peppers and the onions right now. And I drained these because they did have quite much grease in them. So, alright. Now that's all in there. And let me stir it up and see if it's going to look like chili beans. I probably, with all these beans, probably could have used more ground chuck. But 3 pounds will have to do with this. Alright, now let me put my spoon right there. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do, and you might not be able to see this, is I'm using French's Chili-O, and this is 1.3 pound. This is a big jar of the Chili-O mix that I got at Sam's. And the top, I haven't even used it, so the top is still on it, so I've got to get that off. Might know I had everything else together and forgot to take the top off of this. Alright, so I'm using a, it says on the back, if you want to make 5 gallons, which is 10 pounds of ground beef, you would use the whole container. Well, I'm not going to use the whole container, but I am going to use a cup of this Chili-O mix in here. Because I do like the chili taste, and I'm even going to put chili powder in here too. So, alright, so there's the 1 cup of the Chili-O, French's Chili-O seasoning mix. Alright, and then I'm going to put a tablespoon of onion powder. I always use onion powder, and used to, I didn't use garlic, but now I use garlic an awful lot too. Alright, and I'm putting a tablespoon of garlic in here. Alright, and then I have my chives. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of those. Alright, and then I have the parsley flakes. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of those too. Alright, and then I have chili powder. I'm going to take the top. This is just a cheapo chili powder, so you know it's going to take a lot. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons of that in there. And I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. And because we do like spice to our chili beans, I'm going to put maybe I guess you can, I think you can see that. That's a tablespoon, so maybe half a tablespoon of cayenne pepper. And then I've got some more peppers over here that I forgot to get, that like chipotle and all them. I'm just going to put whatever you want in your chili beans, you put in there. But I've got all these chili powders that I don't use very often. So, I mean, I'm going to go on and put them in there. All right, now I'm going to put about a half, well, no, about 3/4 of a tablespoon of coarse ground black pepper. And I have not put any salt in here at all. So in this big 16 quart pot, I'm going to put 1 heaping tablespoon of kosher salt in here, which really isn't very much. Alright, and like I said, I've got more chili seasonings up there. Chipotle and I don't know. I'll have to look and see. I'll bring you back. Let me get this stirred up. And I'm probably going to have to put a little bit of water in here. Maybe like a cup of water. Because I'm going to let this simmer on my stove all afternoon. Alright, so I will bring you right back. I got to get all the rest of the chilies together. Okay, I have cumin, I have ancho chili powder, and I have chipotle chili powder. Now, I really don't know what each of these do, but I'm going to put, let's see, about a half a tablespoon of chipotle. I have more spices and don't use them that much. So, I don't know. This one is ancho. I'm going to use about a half a tablespoon in that too. And cumin, I'm going to use, I don't know, well, between 1/4 and 1/2 of a tablespoon. And that's going in there. Alright. And now I'm going to stir all this up again. And this is going on my stove. And I'm going to start it off at like a medium high until it's bubbling pretty good. And then I'm going to turn it down, put the lid on it, and I'm just going to let this simmer on low for hours. But I am going to have to put a cup of water in here. I did want to tell you that. I am going to have to put a cup of water in here. And so when this is done, I will bring you back. Alright, here's the chili. Believe it or not, out of that big pot, after everybody's been over here and eaten, there is not that much left. I've tasted it already. I wanted to fix a plate for y'all to see. For me, it's a little bit spicy. I mean, I still love it, but I don't like anything in mine. My kids like theirs with sour cream and cheese melted on it and stuff like that. I'm really not a cheese eater. And if I had soup crackers, I'd have them in it, but I've just got my whole grain crackers in it. And like I said, I have tasted it. It's very, very good. Very good. If you didn't want it so spicy, you might leave out the crushed red pepper or the cayenne pepper, or if you just want it plain, you could leave out both of them. I do like mine spicy. So I will continue to put both in mine, and the kids like it. Even Caden likes it spicy. So like I said, we've taught the kids from the time they were little to like spicy things. So anyway, here is the finished dish. It is amazing, and I will talk to you later. If you like this recipe, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to subscribe to my Facebook page, go to Facebook and do a search for Food Prepping, one word, FOOD PREPPING, and you should be able to find my page there. And I will talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye.